So, hi everyone again. Now, it's not a vertical, it's a typical horizontal video. And actually, I must warn you that in certain angles, I have a double chin. So, please pay more attention to what I will be reading than to my shape of my face. Okay, so let's begin. Petals of Hate. Forward. Gloom. Mediocrity. Just like most people. An unremarkable woman in her 30s. You don't shine with talent. You don't dazzle others with your otherworldly beauty. You can't boast of career achievements. And as for your personal life, there is nothing to speak of. Overall, it's all dead silence. There is no one whose heart would race at a message you have written. No one thinking about you day and night. You're completely overwhelmed by a typical midlife crisis. In the morning, you wake up apathetically from under the blankets, crawl to the kitchen to pour yourself a cup of flavorless coffee, then get ready for a dull, hated job. You can no longer call yourself ambitious. It starts to seem that there's a little point in striving for anything. So you just drift through this reality like a ship that's lost its course. No, you are not in despair, and thoughts of radically ending the burdens of existence don't even cross your mind. Boring and joyless routine are perceived by you as the norm. Of course, it wasn't always like this. 1.5 decades ago, your soul was filled with dreams and achieving them was easy. Obstacles on the way to your goals? What are those? If you are not weak or lazy, then any difficulties are just small pebbles in your treasure chest of life experience, nothing more. And if you still cover before challenges, wise people always advise to look for the root of the problem solely within oneself. It means you missed something somewhere. It means you didn't work hard enough on self improvement and personal growth, didn't master the basics of psychology, which is why you're suffering now. In any case, there is no reason to blame someone else for your failures. Just let your vapid life continue. Anyway, nothing can be changed. Okay, let's continue. Chapter 1. Ahead a wonderful weekend. Today, she was the last to leave the office. All the employees had already vacated their workstations. On Fridays, their company allowed them to finish an hour earlier, but apparently this rule did not apply to her. As the personal assistant to the CEO, she could clearly feel the barely concealed hostility from her colleagues. Not a week went by without someone trying yet again to discredit her in the eyes of her boss. All available means were used, from hints of errors in documents to direct accusations of misunderstanding business processes and even reducing the marketing department's efficiency. She was accustomed to envy and ill will. Moreover, she had developed immunity to bullying back in school. So, the aggression of her surroundings seemed to her nothing particularly alarming. It was primarily important to receive her monthly paycheck, and her well-trained patience could handle everything else. Turning off her computer and neatly stacking the documents signed by the director, she opened a large floor safe. Inside there were two shelves holding external hard drive, several folders with contracts and personal files of the company's employees. All that remained was to put her laptop and papers away until Monday morning, then peacefully head home. She was already imagining ordering pizza, soda, and spicy chicken wings in an hour. The enticing aroma of hot dough, though still illusory, reminded her that she needed to hurry. She decisively shook her head, dismissing these culinary fantasies, and her gaze focused on the top shelf of the open safe. And then she was surprised to see that all the items there had vanished. She blinked confusedly a few times, reached out and ran her fingers over the smooth metal surface, as if hoping to find something. Nothing. Absolute emptiness. She nervously giggled. The situation was more than strange. She had never experienced hallucinations before. It was entirely obvious that no outsiders could be in the office, and how could anyone take a folder with multi-million-dollar contracts right out from under her nose? What kind of wicked magic was this? She suddenly spun around and stared at the door. In the doorway, a vague silhouette flickered. Its contours were blurry, as if she had forgotten to put on her glasses. A sticky wave of horror shot through her spine. But before she could decide what to do next, the silhouette stopped trembling and took shape into an unremarkable-looking man. If you saw such a person on the street, or exchanged a fleeting greeting in the corridor of a business center, you would almost immediately forget him, and his individual features wouldn't even leave a mark on your mind because his appearance would seem so mediocre. Probably the only thing that would remain in memory would be the general impression of him as a nameless middle manager. Meanwhile, the man stepped forward and spoke conciliatorily. Lisa, sorry for this disturbance. I see I've scared you. You must have already imagined all sorts of things about me. Your face shows all your emotions. The woman addressed by the unfamiliar man cautiously asked, Who are you, and why are you suddenly here? Where did the contents of the safe go? Are you from our company? The middle manager smirked and spread his hands. It's obvious you're under a lot of stress, Lisa. First, it's insulting that you don't remember me. I'm Dmitry Egorov from the logistics department. We have crossed paths several times regarding work matters. Second, who told you that something disappeared from your precious safe? Take a look yourself and see that everything is in its place. With that, he clumsily grabbed Lisa by the shoulders and turned her toward the safe. She cried out with disgust. How dare you! Don't touch me! I will complain to the management. Either you leave our office right now or I'll call the security. I have never seen you before. The man who introduced himself as Dmitry Egorov stepped back, sighing and giving her a sympathetic look. Lisa wiped a cold sweat from her forehead and slowly raised her eyes to the unfortunate safe. The hard drives and contracts were still on the shelf. She really panicked and, as a result, grew angry with herself. Was this some stupid prank? Or, under the guise of some colleague from another department, was a real bandit sneaking into the office? But then, what were all these preliminaries for? Wouldn't it be easier for him to just attack her immediately and take whatever he needed? She closed the safe door. The man had no intention of leaving yet. His vulgar manners made her think of unpleasant things she tried to dismiss, so that her fear wouldn't completely cloud her mind. At least their office was located in a reputable business center. She had never heard of any crime happening there before. So who the hell was this guy? Rage seized her. She was still far from her period, and it didn't seem like a hormonal spike. But today all her emotions, especially the negative ones, felt like a tsunami. Besides the daily dose of contempt from colleagues, presented as an unsolicited bonus to her constant fatigue, she had just experienced brief but intense moments of despair, thinking that her dismissal with a huge fine was surely imminent. From the raging sea of anger and bewilderment, Dmitri's presence pulled her back to reality, He did not try to approach. He simply stood at a distance of a couple of meters, hands in his jacket pockets. It seemed he was carefully observing Lisa, or rather, the hurricane of guesses and wild theories swirling in her mind. In the silence, his voice sounded boring and even lifeless. My dear, no one will believe you. If you want, call it a fashionable word, gaslighting. You realize that your eyes did not deceive you. And of course, you are linking this ridiculous incident to my appearance, right? And not without reason, girl, not without reason. I am very curious to see how your psyche works and whether it will give us the result we need. Don't disappoint me and all of us. Come on now, fold time and space, sweetheart.